What's up? I'm Ben, or UTM Trek, and this is my Honda Z PA1 UM4. It is a turbo four-wheel drive K SUV from Japan, and this car kicks a lot of ass. So for starters, I'm going to run through this video just like my Honda Beat video. I'm going to talk about this car as well as my experiences with it, things I like, things I don't like so much, and what it's like owning this. I've had it since about July-ish, and it has been a great car. I mean, I love this thing. The four-wheel drive is super good, and this car is extremely comfortable off-road, driving through snow and mud and dirt. I mean, you just feel glued, as well as, I mean, it is comfortable, it is quiet, it is much roomier than the Beat, and I mean, I fit 4 people in here before and driven all around town and ran errands, and it does just fine. I mean, this car kicks a whole lot of ass, and I feel like there is not enough information or love about them on the internet. So you might know that there's a couple other K SUVs that are pretty popular, like the Mitsubishi Pajero Mini or the Suzuki Jimny. And depending on where you live, you might have Suzuki Jimnys because they were released internationally, but with bigger engines, not K car sized engines. Whereas this one has a 656cc turbo K car engine. And yeah, so this car is the competitor to both of those. And I've seen a lot of stuff online about all of them, and they all have great benefits, and they're all awesome cars, don't get me wrong. And this is the one to go with if comfort is a big deal to you. For a K car, this thing is remarkably quiet and really nice. It has a very smooth driving experience. It's really quiet in the cabin, and you can fit 4 people comfortably, more or less pretty comfortable for a K car. More comfortable than like the back seats in like a BRZ or a Mustang or a Camaro or something like that. You can take this thing off road and it will blow your mind every time you do. So this generation is a PA1, and they were produced from 1998 to 2002. So a very short 4-year lifespan, shorter than the Beats, which was 6 years. And there is not a lot of information about this car anywhere. So Honda's been making a car called the Z since the 70s with a smaller, little compact two-door coupe kind of thing. Whereas this is obviously much more of a like family SUV type car. I could only find online that 40,000 Honda Zs in total were made between all the generations. So I would imagine for this one, there's anywhere between like 5 and 25,000 out there. However, the following in the United States is pretty small. The official Honda Z PA1 owners Facebook group has 12 members. And I mean, we all work together to get any kind of information or anything about these cars. Also, I do want to note that the domestic name for this car is the Honda Z, like the British pronunciation for the letter Z. I think that's awesome, but I just call it the Z because I think it's hilarious when I tell people that I have a Honda Z and like, don't you mean a Nissan Z? Nope, it is a Honda Z because this exists for some reason. Mine in particular is a Super Emotion, which is the highest trim level. It's pretty much the UM4 Turbo. The UM4 stands for under midship four-wheel drive, and turbo is turbo. And so I have the UM4 Turbo Super Emotion, which means I have paint match bumpers. Usually these would be silver, as well as tinted rear windows and a CD player inside, which is really nice. I love it, and it works great. And I like to collect CDs, and so this car is perfect for me. Since it is a mid-rear, you do have a frunk. So let me break this open and show you. The frunk release is right underneath your steering wheel. It's a little lever, and you just pop it open. Nice and easy. Everything about this car is very practical and utilitarian. That's how I would describe it. This car is purely like function over form. So you can see here, you have a nice little UM4 Honda Motor Co. OEM little frunk. In here, you got all kinds of nice stuff like fuse box, all kinds of fluid reservoirs, as well as the main attraction, the frunk box, and the world's scariest spare tire that I will not be driving on anytime soon.
You all right?
Oh, I'm doing all good. I'm just making a video. Thank you. That was so nice. Look, they're getting their Christmas trees. He asked me if I was all right. So yeah, you pop those little red latches open, and you have a little frunk. And I love this thing. It comes with pretty good space, so I keep a shovel in case I ever get stuck when I'm off-roading, as well as a little mobile toolkit, which has stuff like jump cables, gloves, socket set, pliers, just, you know, pretty typical things. And below the frunk, if you pop this cover off, you get access to your jack and all your tools in case you have a roadside emergency. And this is a leg to my chair, which is over here. So all taken apart, this is what the front of it looks like. And it's got a nice little hood mechanism. It's pretty standard, and this box isn't gigantic, but it's enough to hold some important things. So if your cabin is ever full and you want more storage for stuff, the front is a nice little extra feature. Something I do want to note real quick about this is, yes, it does say UM4 on the little front box, but I'm pretty sure that these came on all of the Honda Zs regardless of if you got the UM4 or not. But don't quote me on that because I'm not positive. But I'm pretty sure that Battles Digital has a video where he reviews a non-UM4 base model Honda Z, and I want to say it had the box. But now we will move on to the interior of this thing. First thing that I absolutely have to mention is the seats. These seats are the reason I fell in love with this car in the first place. Something about this bizarre 90s like subway pattern. I don't know what it is about it that is so magical to me, but I love weird fabric in cars. Let me clean up my mess a little bit and then we'll go over the whole front seats. Okay, and now we can get on to the interior of this car. Now, the first thing you might notice is this car is very comfortable and you can scoot the seat back pretty far. For reference, I'm 5'10" or about 176 centimeters, and I fit in this thing fantastic. And I have friends who are much taller than me and much shorter than me that can fit and drive this thing just fine. And so we're going to start over with the passenger side, where you'll notice you have these two fun little cubbies, which are kind of an odd size, but they can fit stuff like your phone just fine. In fact, that's where I keep my phone when I'm driving, is in the driver's side one, as well as these two extra little pockets down here, which are a part of this car for some reason. They're also very shallow, but I use the driver's side for my gum. And if you pop it open, you will notice that whatever color your car is, this inside panel will match it. So I have some friends with other colored Zs, and this will be, white to match the exterior of the car. Mine is obviously black. It's kind of a nice way to reference the car's exterior color on the interior. You do have airbags, which is pretty impressive for a K car. Considering these are, 25 years old, I don't know how great they are or if they even work at all anymore. But this is a part of this car, and a functional horn. Over here, you have this awesome little glove box, which you can fit all kinds of stuff in. I like that it has a secret compartment below, though, and you can fit even more stuff. This is where I keep most of my CDs, as well as on the little basket that's on the passenger seat. You have a fully functional little CD player, as well as it works for radio, and you can tune it. And I have a 9-volt, and so if you want to use like a little Bluetooth thing, that works as well. These cars only came in a 4-speed automatic, so if you're looking for a manual SUV K car, maybe go more towards the Pajero Mini or the Jimny, because that is one of the biggest drawbacks to this car. I, however, love it. I don't think there's anything wrong with driving an automatic. This car is super comfortable, super smooth, and it's great for running errands. And I kind of love that it has an automatic and I can drive and eat at the same time. There's another little compartment underneath the radio, which I have an emergency granola bar in case I ever get hungry. And you will notice that there's a open switch here for extra features like fog lights or roof lights if you want, as well as a little change compartment. There are several more switches over on the other side of the steering column as well, so you can wire all kinds of fun extra things in here. And then one of the weirdest little storage things to me is this little divot underneath the handbrake. I don't really know what you're supposed to put down there, but that does exist, and you can put things in there. All right, elephant in the room. This thing has cup holders, and I've fit a monster in here, so you can tell it's a pretty decent sized cup holder. I can't fit like Arizona's, but I can fit drinks from restaurants or cans and all kinds of stuff, and so those are fantastic. My only complaint is that if you have a Bluetooth adapter or some kind of accessory there, it can kind of get in the way, but it's not impossible. If you have wires or chargers coming out of this, though, it is a much bigger pain. But luckily, I usually only listen to CDs in this car, and this guy doesn't get too much action. So he just stays in these other little storage compartments that are underneath the steering column, which are pretty fun. So I keep a pair of sunglasses in here, some hand lotion because it is winter and my hands are super dry. And yeah, there's weird little storage things kind of all over this car. Speaking of weird storage, there's this thing. I I have no idea what this is for. It is such an awkward size and shape. Let me put my keys in there. I mean, yeah, I guess if you wanted to store your car keys in there, that works. And then over to the driver's side, you can see we got the two little compartments here. I'll use this one for gum. And then up here, you have stuff as well, which this used to be the spot for the sunglasses, but they kind of rattle around in there a lot just because the door moves a lot. And yeah, that's about it for the driver's area. You'll notice as well that the center console down here doesn't go all the way up. So, I mean, if there aren't things in the cup holder, you can scoot over to the passenger seat or the driver's seat pretty easily in this car. Oh, and not to mention, this is the trash compartment. It's this weird little drawer. I think it's supposed to be an ashtray probably, but you know, like I said, I don't smoke, so it doesn't really matter to me. I use it for garbage, and it works pretty good. It's a weird little hidden compartment that is just there. And then, of course, down here, this is for flares if you're in Japan. That is where those go, which is interesting for like emergencies and stuff. And the reason you can't go this in the United States is because they're technically explosives, and you cannot ship explosives to your house, believe it or not. The car has fully functional climate controls, um, and these really fun little knobs. I like turning these around. You should know that, like, don't just turn that for fun because it puts stress on other components in your car. Um, the heat dial, which is very clicky, very notchy, as well as the different speeds. And these are also very clicky, very notchy. Everything in this car feels like this. Everything in here feels very nice and responsive. My absolute favorite part of this whole car is right here, my turn signal. I love this thing. It is so solid. I love this turn signal so much. It is actually so satisfying. So you have your wiper, which works great, as well as your mister, which shoots in a stream of 3, which is pretty silly to me. And then you also have a rear wiper, and mine is functional. And you can even juice back there and use it to clean your windows. So, yeah, I mean, this car, everything on it works and is very functional and nice. You also have a rear heater on the rear window so that you can melt it or what is this called? A defroster. You even have power windows as well as power mirrors, and the driver's side even has the auto lock, so you can click it and it will roll itself down as well as up all by itself. And this is super nice. The passenger side doesn't, but it also has this switch which disables the window. So yes, this car does have child locks for the one other window that can roll down. And like I said, this car does have power mirrors, so you can adjust it to see things that are behind you nice, which is a really fun and almost unnecessarily like good feature for this car in my opinion. But I'm glad that it has them. And it runs on this little system where you switch it left or right depending on the mirror, and then you just kind of use the little square as a joystick to move your mirror around. Of course, the best button in the whole cabin is the AC button here. It clicks in very nicely, and it even has a little blue light that comes on. I just think it's too bright right now to see that. As for the top, you have 2 sun visors, and the driver's side even comes with a little mirror, which is nice. I have a Skitty Pokemon card in my phone case right now. And it has all kinds of warnings in Japanese, which I do not speak. So, yeah. And you even have a little sunglasses spot up here, which I use to keep a Polaroid of my car in, just so I don't forget which one that I'm in. I should mention that the seats are fully adjustable, so you can lean it back. Oops, I have a... just so you guys know, this is Hjalmar. He lives in this car as the passenger. I just think it's fun to have something like that in your car. Anyway, so the seats do lean up, they lean back, and if you scoot it up, you can get it to lay down pretty much flat, well, as flat as this is. And this is this really weird, like, plasticky rubber material. It kind of feels like a dodgeball almost. It's very strange. But, yeah, I mean, it's adjustable, it's super nice, really good, as well as one more little thing. The driver's seat has the access for the gas. You pull this, and then your gas door will open up. And remember, it's a turbo, so high octane only. This is the little lever to pull the hood. It's right underneath this kind of controls area. So I have the driver's seat in the driving configuration that I like to use. And so if you pull this, it will move the seat up just like any kind of coupe, and you can hop in to the back seat. And there, bring that back into place. And you can see here, this is with this seat all the way up. And I mean, if you have a passenger up front who doesn't really mind, you can get some pretty good leg room. But let me scoot it back just for a more realistic depiction of what this would be. So I have both the seats now in the same position. And you see, if I sit back here, this is about what I'm working with for room. And these seats are also adjustable. You can lean them back if you would like, or you can lean them all the way up like how they are right now. Maybe this is more comfortable. And there you go. One thing to note is you are sitting really high up. This is my eye level. The back seats are higher up than the front seats. It's kind of like a stadium in that way, which is really odd, but also kind of charming. And one more thing to know, these do have 3-point seat belts. And they attach right here in the middle. And so your backseat passengers can be nice and buckled in. I mean, I'd say it's comfortable. I mean, this works just fine for me. And if I had another person, I'm sure it'd be fine as well, because I don't take up a ton of room. In the back seat, you have this awesome little side compartment, this little cubby, which has a really good amount of room. Let me look for like an object of decent scale here. This is my snow glove for cleaning the car off. And you can see it fits in there pretty nice. So, I mean, you can keep whatever back here, as well as another cup holder. This one is a little bit smaller than the ones up front, but it still does the trick. And I think it's fun that it's there. You also have these 3 fun lines, which you can kind of see get referenced all throughout the car's interior, and as well as the exterior, there's some as well. But on the driver's side, you'll notice there's a lot of this like golf ball looking like dimple. It's on the handbrake. It's kind of on the seats to an extent. It's all around there. It's on the shifter. It's on the steering wheel. It's even on the dash. And so, yeah, there's a couple weird reoccurring patterns that show up all throughout the car. And I think it just adds a lot more character, a lot more personality. You can tell that the designers cared about adding some motifs and things that were interesting when they were making this car. But for the other side, it's pretty much the same. Little storage compartment, which I have an air freshener in. I didn't even know this was here. And another cup holder. And you can see here, there is this weird little hump in the middle. That is because this is where drivetrain and power and probably, I'm guessing, transmission stuff goes to get to the engine, which is right below the seat that I'm sitting on, actually. And yes, the seats back here do fold all the way up to create more room in the back. And you just grab this little lever, and they fold up nice and easy like that, and you can have a lot more space. I just have, this is all the extra stuff that I keep in my car. I'm just keeping it here out of the way for the video. And then to put it back, it's pretty much the exact same. I mean, you just lower it down onto that bar, it clicks, and then you can pull the seat back up to however steep you want it, or you can lie it all the way down like that for whatever reason. One final note about the back is there are like these awesome speakers, and sitting in the back seat, the music sounds amazing. There's this great surround sound coming from the speakers that are in the front doors as well as these in the back, and it seems to kind of all meet right around the back seat. So the back seat passengers do get pretty lucky. I'm pretty jealous that they get to hear the music the best. And then if you get trapped back here, you have the lever and you can scoot up the seat all by yourself and hop right back out. As for the back of the car, you have a hydraulic hatchback, which is super nice. That will open on its own like that. And yeah, I will fold all this up and kind of show you how you access the engine in this car now. As for trunk space, this is what you're working with. It's surprisingly good. I mean, I've fit an extra person in here before. Unless you're a cop, I didn't do that. But yeah, it's nice and big, and you can carry all kinds of extra stuff around. So I usually use it for groceries, because this is the grocery getter, because the Beat's just too little. Just for those who are curious, these are the CDs that I keep in the Z. I mean, and I've got just about everything. I always let my passengers pick the music, but the trick is that I like all of these. And so, I mean, you can see we've got everything from Pearl Jam to Sum 41 to Porter Robinson to 100 Gex to Madeon to OSO to the Sailor Moon soundtrack to Cassiopeia, Weezer, Michael Jackson, Skrillex. I mean, I've got a little bit of everything. I like my CDs and I like my music. But yeah, back to the review. All right, so now we're going to learn how to access the engine in this car. So what you're going to do is fold down these 2 back seats. And just like I showed you earlier, you'll grab this little lever and that will pull it up. And now you have all of this room in the back. and you can remove this huge cover. And then you have your engine access panel. There are 4 wing nuts, 1 on each corner. And I'm not gonna open them because it takes like a minute, and that's too long for me right now. But if you wanna see me work on this car, I have some other videos on my channel. And you can see as well, you got the speakers, the storage cubbies. And so it's kind of nice when you're working on the car, you can use those for storage for tools and drinks and stuff like that, as well as you have your access panels to the rear taillights. So now that we've gone over pretty much everything for the interior of this car, let me talk about the exterior a little bit. So you have your intakes, which are these funny little grates on both sides of the car, because this is a mid-engine, and mine is on these 15-inch Steelies, which I'm actually kind of in love with these fun little Honda hubcaps, and some nice big meaty tires that definitely lift the car up a lot and make it a lot easier to drive off-road and on all kinds of different terrains. You'll notice as well what I meant about the back windows being tinted, which is pretty nice for privacy, as well as my little UTM Trek sticker. And then something that came factory on all of these is these gigantic rain guards. They are pretty awesome, despite creating a pretty bad blind spot. But I do like the way they look, and I think they work really well for the car. And it makes it super awesome to drive around when it's raining or snowing or anything is falling out of the sky. The mirrors are pretty standard. I mean, they're just black rectangles, nothing super exciting, but they do fold in. Get to the front of the car, and this car has a funny face, in my opinion. It has these big, like, square headlights on both sides, as well as the radiator's right here in the middle, so it has a tiny little grill. I have my UTM Trek plate on it, and it has these hazard lights, which to me look like blush, especially when you run the hazards. Also, the hazards has this magnificent little clicky button, listen. Oh, it's so nice. And he has these little orange hazards on the sides as well that'll blink. But yeah, you can see what I'm talking about when I'm saying it looks like he's blushing with the hazards. It's very goofy, but it's very appropriate for this car, I'd say. More of that 3-line kind of thing. You've got the first line, this indent up here, as well as the 2 lines down here that kind of match with that motif that I spoke about on the interior. And yeah, I mean, there isn't a whole lot to talk about regarding the exterior of this car. It's kind of just a bread box on wheels. Let me get a little more of a objective shot from further away to show you how square this thing is. It's pretty goofy. But yeah, I mean, the only other thing of note is the top does have a spot to put like roof rails or a roof rack, which is in the future plans for this car, and you have a nice little antenna. And this folds down and goes into the car if you don't want it sticking out. I have nothing crazy to say. But like I said, I pretty much bought this thing off of a whim, almost as a dare. And I don't regret it one bit. I mean, now that I have my only 2 little issues with it fixed, it's amazing and it feels super good. And I love driving this thing around. I love doing stuff in it. Some future plans for it is to lift it, get it on some off-roading wheels and some bigger tires, as well as I want to do some more headlight restoration just because they're a little foggy, as well as a full wrap, because the black, I mean, it is just way too hard to keep clean. There's water spots all over it, and it kind of drives me nuts. And so if you have any ideas or suggestions or colors or schemes or liveries or anything in mind, nothing is off the table. This car is going to have a nice, fun, and dirty life ahead of it with a lot of trails. So I think now what I want to do is maybe continue the rest of this drive and end the road trip segment of this video. So, plot twist, the rest of this review is filmed at the shooting location for the end of the road trip. So we're starting the road trip in my garage. And those of you who know that the Z has been having a bad issue with the mounts, listen to this. This is what I spent my Saturday morning doing. All right, you ready? Fires right up, no shakes, no rattles. So I should disclose something real quick. I don't know what year this car is. It allegedly is a 1998. That's what it says on my title. But when I use JDM and Japanese VIN checkers to pull the VIN, it doesn't give me a confirmed year. And so that should be pretty obvious. Well, if it says on your title it's a 1998, it's a 1998, right? Here's the thing. The Zs came in a couple weird specs, and there's one called the Super Emotion, which those Japanese VIN checkers say mine is. And the Super Emotion, the weird thing about it is it wasn't released until June 2000, until the end of the lifespan of the Honda Z PA1. And then that's about 2002. So 2000 to 2002 is when the Super Emotions were made. So what is a Super Emotion then? And why is it different from a normal Honda Z or a UM4? The Super Emotion is the UM4, but with paint match bumpers, which mine are, tinted rear windows, which I have, and a CD player, which I am using right now to listen to this Caravan Palace CD. So the JDM VIN checker seems to think that this is a Super Emotion, and it has all the Super Emotion features. So at the very least, it is it's been modified, almost like up-badged to a Super Emotion. And we are going to take it on a little road trip. We are going to take some back roads, and we're going to go to an even smaller town that's located north of where I live. And hopefully it makes for a nice little drive, because with the Beat, to show off its capability, I wanted to, hit some canyon roads. And, I think that's where that car really shines, is as a sporty, well-handling little car. But where this car shines is as a K-mover. This thing is an SUV. I have a back seat. You can fit 4 people. I fit 4 Americans comfortably in here. And I mean, the car is very modular. You can fold the seats down and everything can come up. One of the biggest praises that these cars get, though, is just how quiet and comfortable they are. And actually this morning I replaced the big engine mount that's in there, because this car was having issues with rumbles and rattles and noise and bad cold starts, and it was bad on accelerating, bad on braking. It was just it was a bad mount, right? You can imagine if you've ever been there. Something I do want to mention is that it is very windy here today. And this car isn't, I wouldn't say anywhere near top heavy, but it is very tall and little. So you definitely do feel the wind in this car, but it's not unbearable, and it's not dangerous. If it was dangerous, or if I was, worried about this, I wouldn't be doing this. Right now, I'm going about 90 kilometers an hour, which is about 55 cheeseburgers per AR-15 in Freedom units. And I'm sitting about 4,500 RPM, which is pretty standard for these K cars, at least with the E07 engines and Honda transmissions that I'm familiar with, like in this car in the Beat. And I mean, you can see that it's pretty good. It's quiet, it's smooth, it feels comfortable. I mean, I love driving this car. It is such a good little car. We got into a little stopping point on the trip as we're on our way out to the shooting location. Look at this fun. Oh, this is one awesome image. Now, I believe it would be irresponsible for me to not mention just how slow this car is. It is, it's great on downhills. It's great on flat roads. Uphills, this car hates. It loves to downshift. The transmission can be really weird, and it would rather sit in second gear and go 5 kilometers an hour up a hill instead of downshifting into first and using some actual torque to get over it. I don't know if the car is just trying to be more fuel efficient or what, but sometimes I would rather have that extra power. That being said, this already is not one of the most fuel efficient K cars you can get. Mine, I get about around town 35, 40 miles to the gallon, but cruising at higher speeds and stuff, it gets about 30 miles to the gallon, which is a small price to pay for steez, if you ask me. I mean, something about driving this car is so funny. I think it's you scoot up, you can like drive it like the truck guys. Here, let me see if I can position so you can see it. You can drive like the truck guys, and there's something about it. It's so funny to me. This car is, it is a blast to drive. It's a blast to off-road. It does have power steering, unlike the Beat. So, I mean, you can really crank the steering wheel and do all kinds of fun stuff. And obviously, it is great for the snow, being four-wheel drive. The car's doing great. I mean, we're getting pretty close to the spot. I'm trying to decide if I should film in the little town or up the mountain. I think the mountain would be much more beautiful and much more appropriate for a four-wheel drive K car that I take off-road. There we go, focused. I stopped at the gas station to grab some snacks before going to film the rest of this video, and these two very nice gentlemen came out and talked to me and asked me about my car, and they were really interested to learn about K cars, and you know, everybody loves that it's right-hand drive. And then I get to throw the cherries on top. It's like, oh yeah, it's also four-wheel drive, and it's turbo, and it's mid-engine, and it's, you know, all this fun stuff. And I mean, the Z is, it's still a goofy, strange car, and it's still a K car, and people still love it, and people stop me all the time and have questions, and I love to talk about these cars, right? And so if you want something that's less conspicuous, Z's probably, or a K car isn't the move if you don't want to be bothered. But if you like people asking about your car and just strangers coming up and talking to you and meeting people, definitely go with the K car. And that I love. I mean, I love the just the amount of people that like get enthused about these that you know didn't know that these existed. And so now I got to share it with some of the wonderful people here. It's just awesome. Also, I just pulled up to the cutest little park ever. What on earth? I'm currently in Parowan, Utah. That's where I'm at, in case anybody was wondering. And it's a nice little town. If you know Bryan Head, like the ski resort, that's here. Whoops, what's going on here? Yeah, if I didn't want to do the review up the mountain, I would totally do it like right here. This place is super cute. And I don't know why. I just updated to the new iOS, and all of a sudden my phone is like always losing focus. But it might have been a bad idea to wash this right before going to do some off-roading. But that's okay. We have this really pretty kind of blend of like fall and wintry weather here today, but it actually feels really nice outside, so I can't complain. And here is my silly little guy. And so we're going to go out that way and try and get up these mountains. Hopefully nothing too steep though, because like I said, this car does not like steep. This is so silly. Look, they got like Christmas lights and Christmas decorations across the street out here. This place is awesome. Definitely small town America. Very funny. I love all the Christmas stuff, but I believe the mountain is out this way, so this is where we're gonna go. So I turned a little too early for the spot I was trying to get to, and I found that I can actually still get through. I just have to go through this snow and this mud and get up over there. Back there told me that this road is impassable during winter conditions, which is probably right and probably good advice. But I mean, look at how pretty this is. I think we found our shooting location. I mean, even if I set up right in the middle of the road here, this would look amazing. All right, this looks like an amazing spot to shoot. Except my one complaint is that the sun is in the back. So maybe if we put the car like here, and we got some more of like this. What do we think? I think that's good. I want some more of the red rocks. I might go up the road a little further. And let's just see how far back this goes. I think I found a place that is sufficiently beautiful. And we're gonna get started up and we're gonna begin the shoot. It's a little cold and it's a little breezy, but hopefully with the microphone, it shouldn't be too much of a pain. So yeah, we'll get ready. Okay, so I finished the review segment of the video, so we can continue the road trip. I do want to apologize. The mic was off for apparently the entire first part of the road trip series, or road trip segment, and so I have it running now. But yeah, the adapter or the receiver has been having some weird issues despite showing the waveform, so I'm guessing there's an issue somewhere between the receiver and my phone, which is what I'm recording on. But I tested it and I messed with some settings and it should be good now. But it was just windy and I didn't want to get all that extra noise from while I was doing the review part. One thing I did forget to mention during the review part of the video was that this car has the most godly turning radius ever. You can be in a parking lot and do a U-turn and end up in the parking spot next to you. It is actually crazy. And so I've only ever had to do like 2 3-point turns in this car. You can flip a U-turn just about everywhere. And so that's always been a huge advantage of this car to me, and I just think it's kind of hilarious. It's kind of like a party trick, you know. We're going through this like spooky forest area, and it's all shady and dark now. All the people who have been coming down the mountain have had Christmas trees on their cars, and so now that the Z is running good, maybe it's time to do that with this car as well, because we don't have a Christmas tree yet at our house. Also, if there's anybody wondering why I didn't make a video with the engine mounts and why there won't be a video with the engine mounts, is because I thought it was going to take me a lot longer, and it was kind of my first big solo project, and I was pretty stressed about even being able to do it in the first place, and I didn't want the extra pressure of having to record an update. Also, check out these big crazy rocks. Look at where I'm at. But yeah, that's why there won't be a video on the engine mounts. If you guys want me to do a tutorial, I bet I could do it again, because it was super easy. And if there's any other Honda Z owners that are watching this just out of curiosity or for fun, and you need help, you can just message me directly on like my Instagram or Facebook or something, and I can give you some guidance, because I thought it was going to be a much bigger project, and it actually turned out to be pretty straightforward. So I'm happy it went the way that it did. But yeah, it was kind of nice to do something with the car without having to worry about recording it, you know? Okay, here you can kind of get it. Let's get a good little drive on this snow. The car is slipping out a little bit, but it feels in control. And look, we're going on uphill ice, around curves, and the car just does not care. And like I said, there's radiator springs right there in the background. And a little river on my right. It's like Winter Wonderland and Radiator Springs. The environment can't make up its mind on what it wants to be. You can hear a good little downshift, some turbo intake noises. Sounds good. This is a good sounding car. It is really cool. And the guy the dealership that I bought it from, they said if you take out the air filter, you can hear the turbo like super loud, and apparently it sounds crazy. So that's definitely in the future for this, is to get this car like an intake or something. Only issue is there's like so little parts and aftermarket stuff for this car that's, you know, I'd probably have to fab something up myself. But yeah, I mean, Z's just chooching along up this hill. It's been about, I don't know, a 10-degree incline this whole time, and the car's been doing just fine. I'm saying about 30 kilometers an hour. Not very fast, but it's getting up. There's no one behind me, so I'm not creating any issues. There's some deep snow. Ooh. But I don't really know how far this road goes. So we'll probably just find a spot and pull over and film a little outro. Okay, we've made it to this fun little cliff area. And you can see there's the sunny valley in the background, and here's the Z and all of its awesome K-Car JDM glory. And I think that's gonna be the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching, and if you're interested in this cars, I mean, reach out. And yeah, K-Cars are a blast. I love owning this car. It's so much fun to drive. I mean, it turns heads everywhere I go. I can hear little turbo induction noises, and it locks up when I'm driving off-road or going through snow. And I mean, it's an amazing little car. So if you're looking for a K-Car, but something that's a little more practical, a little more dailyable, a Honda Z is definitely the way. So thank you so much for watching, and peace out, and subscribe if you enjoy K-Car stuff. Also, as a little editor postscript, this is how much gas we've used. It was a full tank when we left. So yeah, I mean, it's still K-Car fuel economy. It's got an 8-gallon tank, and yeah, it got me here. I did about probably an hour to hour and a half of driving with good RPMs. I mean, averaging around 5,000-ish. So there's your fuel economy.